Okay, hey there guys, so in this one we're going to finally be wrapping this up. Sorry I didn't get the Mystic one out yesterday, just wanted to get out those other videos first. So today we're going to wrap up the list on the Mystic one, and actually there's just one change I want to make on the Mystic list live. It's just going to be that. I might actually make a couple tweaks on the Mystic list as I'm talking for this part. So as I wanted to start off with on all the other ones, right, it's just a list, it doesn't mean anything really. I just wanted to do this for fun. I enjoyed making every single one. It was a lot of fun trying to put my thoughts on paper, see where I would rank them actually, because you can talk about, oh, I think this champion's better, but when you actually have to move a champion into a place and lock it in, and then you're putting your opinion out there and sending it to a ton of chats, it's it's not the same as just oh, I think Archangel's a very good champion, best mutant, lol, stuff like that. But so again, Mystic through the game, I think it's mainly had two roles. Recently it's been getting in some other champions that fit outside of the niche, but they've always been the Nullify class. Outside of Mystic, there's two champions that Nullify that I can think of off the top of my head. There's a couple that can Nullify very specific things, but Nullify has always been a very, very Mystic-centric ability, and if you need a Nullify, you're bringing a Mystic. And then the secondary thing that they do is power control. It's kind of been something that they're trying to get away from a little bit if you look at it with stuff like Diablo's buff and Tigra, but power control has always been a very, very big part of Mystic's kit in my opinion, and I don't think they should try to move away from that. I mean, I guess I'll talk about it when I get to the top champion. So the reason I made that one change, I probably could have made that change to something like the tech class as well with Ghost, but it's a little bit different for Ghost, where she's the best champion in the game, where with this one, he's probably not the best champion in the game, but he's clearly the best champion in his class unless you run suicides, and that is Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, so you saw the list there. So Dr. Doom, actually I'll switch this to dark mode so I don't kill people's eyes. So dark mode, so Dr. Doom does everything a Mystic is supposed to do, and he does those two things the best. He has the Aura of Hazaroth, which has a chance to nullify, power controls, it power steals, and it power locks. So there's an important distinction there. You can actually use Dr. Doom on stuff like Vivified, on I can't remember its name, but it's the one that reduces power drain effects by 90%. Because of the way his power steal is classified, it works for that actually. And same with Vivified, because his power steal is also at the same time a power lock. You can use him for something like Vivified if you only spam light hits. They actually don't gain any power, but you don't take any power from them. He also has a kind of unstoppable mechanic where he can resist heavies and special attacks the last hit, which is kind of nice if you ever just go in you're just spamming hits, because right, Doom is one of those champions with an absolutely massive amount of armor, plus he has the crit resistance, it's the crit resist, high armor, and then he's immune to armor breaks, he's immune to shocks, he uses the energy attacks. Everything Doom does just is insane. Looking at his ability list, it's not the longest list for a champion released in 2019 or 2020. There were some absolutely massive ability lists in those years. But with him, energy attacks, immune to a couple effects, armor breaks, armor shatter, and shocks. Your basic attacks, you can passive stun while charging a heavy, which works for some fights like Grandmaster. You can actually stun him even when he's stun immune. You apply a shock, so you have a bit of access to damage over time. You have a stagger on your heavies. Right, we already went over the Aura, which the Aura is definitely his biggest ability in his kit. You have the Special One, which triggers your Aura, you power steal, you nullify usually up to 3 buffs. With the Aura, you can actually nullify 7 buffs, I think it is. The Special 2 is an absolute nuke. The Special 3 gives you, where's his attack rating? It gives you 130, I didn't do the math on this, I think it's 130%, 140% Fury. His Sig ability is not required, but he's, second highest prestige champion in the game. And the ability to get the power gain debuff, or buffs, is actually really fun, because for matchups like Hyperion and Arcus, or you can cheese certain fights like Rage, Resistor, whatever the one is where you stand close to them and they gain a Fury, you can cheese that by heavy locking them with the shocks in the corner. Doom is just an absolute behemoth. So that's why I put that there. He does basically what any of these other champions can do, minus their one niche. Minus, like, right, Claire's immunities and benefits of suicides. Minus Diablo's damage over time proficiency. Tigra's miss. Sorcerer's slow, right? He can do all of that, minus their, like, one niche. But he just does it all so well. He's clearly the best Mystic in my opinion, and he's just heads and shoulders above second place. Like, I don't really even know who I want to put at second, because it doesn't feel like second is gonna touch Doom. They have to put in a new champion above Doom, and I don't know if they want to do that, because to get something above Doom is gonna be very, very insane champion. And the fact that I think it was Kabam Broccoli's interview with Prof Hoff, I think is when he said it, was that Kabam made him hard nerf Doom, and Doom was supposed to be like a lot better than he currently is. Like, supposed to blow ghosts out of the water type of power level, so that's a bit nutty. I don't even know what you'd do with that. I'll move this list around a little bit just because I'll make it a bit less subjective there. I just personally don't like Claire too much. I don't run suicides, as I've stated, for some of these other placements, right? So Claire is a very good champion. Why am I like this with Aunt May on PC? Clairvoyant is an amazing champion. You have triple immunities. Your hits do energy damage. You have damage over time debuffs. You have the death immunity, which isn't the best feature, but the ability to cheat death is always useful. Her special 2, right, you can regenerate a ton. You can steal a fair bit of power, especially when you get prowess nodes or like boosts going. You steal more power than you give them, so that's always nice. The Hellfire, you deal a fair bit of burst damage, so that's always really nice. The special 3, if you get her clairvoyance charges, deal a massive amount of damage. You have the buff immunity on her special 2, which I forgot about, which can bypass stuff like nullify immunity as long as it applies. It's an absolutely insane debuff as long as you make sure it applies. Right, you have her different curses, which can give you up to 3 different immunities. Her like biggest weakness is the fact that you can't trigger more than one curse at a time. If you could, she'd be bust, like absolutely beyond broken. You can nullify, or you can nullify by using your clairvoyance charges, and when you gain a clairvoyance charge from an immunity, you gain a burst of power. And if you have Mystic Dispersion, when you nullify a buff when you're building up to buff immunity, you gain extra power. She just has so much power gain. She has regen, she has power steal, she just has a bit of everything. She's a very Swiss Army knife type of champion, and super useful. Next, but Mystic, so this kind of applies kind of to these two, not as much. Mystic has sometimes, or usually, lacked a burst damage champion, which is where Tigra kind of comes in, especially with dupe, especially at high sig dupe. You run suicides with her, and you special 2. You intercept with it, and you rinse fights down. She has one of the fastest Winter Soldier kills there is. She has one of the fastest kills on a lot of different fights you'll see. It takes a lot of skill to be good with this character. Her ability list, reading through it, doesn't really matter. If you can play her, you can play her. If you're not able to learn her, or you don't want to learn her, it doesn't really matter if her abilities are good. She's a very weird champion to get used to. She's a champion I really want to pull, but I haven't yet. But she's absolutely insane. You get the extra damage when you intercept them or interrupt one of their attacks, like heavy counter, one of their heavies, stuff like that. You have the unblockable on your specials when you're far away. Wait, what's this ability? Yeah. You want to make sure that you don't have any of these debuffs on you. That's a big thing for her. Fighting something like Apocalypse, if you get the weakness on you from one of his specials, not very good. Right, in her primal senses, she has a lot of debuffs. She just has a lot of damage. That's the main thing with Tigra. Next, I'm going to put Diablo. Diablo, I think you could actually argue to possibly put him up to second place, because up to 30% reduced damage from all sources, and an extra 800 attack. That's actually on R4, it's an R3. 700 extra attack while you have a poison, and 30% damage reduction. So if you run him with suicides, you perma heal from the poison because you're poison immune. Not poison immune, minus 100%. So you heal fully from the poison, and then your recoil damage does 30% less. All your blocked hits do 30% less. You're hitting harder than you were. You have extra energy resistance. What else? You got his different pre-fights, which I think... Wait, where is it on here? You gain extra attack and poison potency, which is very nice. You can select up to 3 alchemy ingredients to use. He has unlimited ingredients, but can only add 1 to each fight. Where does it? Oh, is this it? Philosopher's Mix lasts 8 seconds, special attacks you use. So yeah, you heal for 8 seconds, which is... You gain a decent bit of health back. Here it is. Distilled Will. Incoming energy damage causes you to passively heal 70% of the damage taken. So anything like a shock or Havoc's plasma or Havoc's own hits, something like that, you're just healing 70% of it back. Plus, you're also taking 30% reduced damage if you're running suicides. Kinda nice. You can nullify. You have 100% to nullify every 2 seconds. That's quite a bit of nullify. And then this one I feel like is... These bottom 2 are his better 2. But this first one is actually also really good, which I never really paid attention to that much. But stun immunity and armor break immunity is very nice for certain matchups, right? Like Vision Arcus or something. You don't have to deal with your cold snap because you're armor break immune. You don't have to deal with stun immune, or the stun on encroaching stun. Stacking his poisons up to 20 can be a bit hard because you have to use special 2, I believe it is. Yeah, special 2 first hit reapplies. I don't think the special 1 does. So you have to spam the special 2, so it can be a little bit hard. But if you stack up 22k poisons, you're absolutely rinsing down your opponents. The mediums, like a medium-heavy spam, I think is the best way to play him. But you can really play him in any way because of his tankiness and the amount of damage that he possesses. The SP2, the unblockable, you get burst damage. You refresh all your poisons. The SP3, it places 10... I'm not a Diablo expert. I'm not sure if it's a synergy, but there's a way you apply a ton of passive poisons. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find it really quickly. On the opponent, which lasts 20 seconds, deal a burst of energy and they expire nullified. I think it must be a synergy. I don't feel like looking for it right now, but there's a way he applies passive poisons, which are really, really strong. He's a very, very good champion. His buff was honestly absolutely fantastic this year. One of the better buffs, probably, of the year. Probably not the best buff. I don't know quite about that, but it's definitely up there. And the last 2 are very fun champions. Again, a lot of after Doom, the placement of where you put them doesn't matter as much. It's kind of just wherever you want. Sorcerer Supreme is just the utility queen. Not utility queen, but she has those 2 abilities which are just very, very nice. Where are they? Oh yeah, the runic spells. Slow and regenerate on your block. The armor break is actually absolutely massive. It's like the size of Medusa's armor shatter, so it adds a ton of damage to you. But the ability to heal back most of the damage that you take, 75%, is a massive amount. Plus, like, you're blocking, so you're reducing it already. And then a 12-second slow combined with pausing all rune effects for 5 seconds. So it's really a 17-second, but it also starts at the beginning, and it lasts through. So it's more like a 20-second slow when you use it from the special 2. So it's a very, very long slow. It's super easy to maintain by special 1 spamming. You can use heavies to change your stances, unlike the other strange characters, right, with like Symbiote Supreme. With Symbiote Supreme, you have to spam SP1 to change it, which is kind of useless because you want to be using his other specials. But with her, you just have... Oh wait, it's actually here. You just have to change... You just hit your heavy, and your heavy changes it for you. There it is. Rotate to next blessing. Plus, you can also use the pre-fight to start on the one you want, which the best way to kind of do it is to start on the one before you want. So when you get up to SP1, you get there. She also has a great synergy with Storm Pyramid X. Oh, it's technically on Storm's side, I guess. That gives it Sorcerer Supreme. Starts with 1 bar of power, so you could even just pick, like, let's say, the slow if you're fighting like a Juggernaut or something that you really need to get a slow on. You pick the slow, you bring Storm Pyramid X, and you start with a slow debuff on them. And then the other one is Sigil Witch. She's a bit of a pay-to-win champion technically, right? Because you can only get her by paying right now. But she's not a champion that's required, she's just a champion that's fun. I don't have her, so I can't tell you too much of how she works precisely, but she's so cool. The damage over time effects, all the nullify, applying buffs to your opponent to parry them to nullify is just so cool in my opinion. So if you saw the list on the interesting champions, America Chavez is probably a minor tweak away from being a very good champion. There's two things I wish that were easier on her. I wish for her heavy attacks, it was easier to use her parallel dimensions. Unless you're using the third parallel dimension, which is honestly one of the best ones to be using anyway, it's really annoying. It's really frustrating because you have to use a special if you want to trigger either of these, I think. There's no way to cancel a heavy attack mid-heavy attack, so you're kind of forced to go with this one unless you're using a special attack. But she also has the passive stun, kind of like Doom, to chain the heavy attacks, so that's always really fun to be able to play with. Plus, minus 60% ability power gain is actually quite a bit considering you get a heavy as your first hit of the game, and you can just stack 2 of those really quickly, and you're basically just shutting their power gain down already. Even though it suffers 20% ability, she's really, in my opinion, a buff away on her damage to being very, very good. I've seen some pretty cool stuff. Dragon Man's always been a little bit underrated outside of when people realize that he could cheese Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and Gimme. He's just fun. He has the Furies, he has the Incinerates. Another just kind of underrated champion that I think could get played a little bit more. Hood's buff was solid. You have a lot of stagger, you have a fair bit of damage if you want to go that route. And Mephisto, if you've played in highish tiers wars recently, basically for the past year and a half now, people have been using Mephisto for Path 9 that entire time, and same with the Hazard Shift Mini. The ability to be poison and incinerate immune, and he also has the cold snap and stuff, I think, is really good. He has the aura incineration for extra damage. He has his soul imprisonment, which just removes the buffs. He's a very solid champion. So that'll kind of do it for this list. Mystic is overall, I want to say, a weaker class, but they have a fair bit of good champions. It's just you have your stuff like Dormammu, Guillotine, you have Juggernaut, you have Loki, and your Iron Fists and stuff, you have Mangog, right? You just have champions that are just you have Unstoppable Colossus, Thor, right? You just have a lot of bad champions mixed in, but they have some insane champions. And there's some other champions I didn't mention that people obviously know are very, very good. So that'll just about be it for this. That's actually not just about it. That is it for this series. I plan on doing a couple more, maybe end of year for fun type videos like this soon. So keep an eye out for those. I hope you guys enjoyed this top 6 for all 6 classes. Maybe that's why I did 6 for 6. Kind of works actually. So I hope you guys have a good one. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.